This is RTV6 News at 6, working for you.
The Marion County Public Health Department will be requiring face coverings for residents when they are out in public.
Starting next week, if you're out in public in Marion County, you must wear a mask to help stop the spread of COVID-19. And that's not all. We're live with what you have to know.
Families and advocates are reacting to the state's decision to publish nursing home data. I'm Call 6 Investigates Kara Kenny with what they say needs to happen now.
Call 911 and I get a recording. And I'm like, are you kidding me right now?
A dispatching delay in Marion County. We are getting answers for a local mother who says her call to 911 was not answered right away.
So how often are these 911 delays happening in Marion County? Our Call 6 team digs into the numbers and finds out. Welcome into the news at 6. I'm Mark Mullins, broadcasting from my home tonight.
And I'm Amanda Starrentino at the WRTV studios. We are still social distancing to stop the spread of COVID-19. In the city of Indianapolis and Marion County are taking a huge step in an effort to slow down the coronavirus. Beginning July 9th, the Marion County Health Department will require people out in public to be wearing a mask. It will no longer be a suggestion. It will be mandatory. RTV6's Cameron Riddle is live downtown tonight with the exact rules you will need to follow. Cameron.
Amanda, good evening. You talked about those rules, and at this very second, it is not required that you wear a mask inside Marion County, but in exactly 1 week, this will be required in all of Marion County. The new mask requirement applies to anyone age 3 and older unless a medical condition prevents you from wearing one. The executive order from Mayor Hogsett includes all retail and office buildings unless you are alone inside your office. The city and county will also adopt most of what Governor Holcomb announced on Wednesday as part of stage 4.5 of Indiana's Back on Track plan. The mayor made that announcement this morning, along with Dr. Virginia Kane, the director of the Marion County Public Health Department. Dr. Kane says the mask rule will be enforced, and there is a consequence if you don't wear the mask.
As always, you will still have individuals who are concerned about their civil and independent rights that will not want to comply. And for those individuals, we will be looking to fine, whether it's an individual or a business, provide fines for them in order to help address compliance.
Well, one business that Dr. Kane will not have any issues with compliance with is here on Mass Ave at Silver in the City. We talked with the owner, Kristen Cohn, earlier this afternoon, and as you see on the signs, masks are already mandatory in her shop and have been since May. She believes that masks are the reason that her business is still open and all of her employees are healthy.
We have been wearing our masks 8 hours a day in the store, and we found a way to make that work for us and our staff. And so, I think it's something that can happen. And again, if people are uncomfortable wearing masks, we have worked to provide solutions to still interact and shop safely with them, which again involves virtual interaction instead of in-person interaction.
Now, if you are outside alone in an area where you can be socially distanced like I am right now, well, then you do not have to wear the mask. That also includes while you are exercising and while you are eating. But if you are just waiting for your food in a public place, well, then that mask has to go back on. And if you're outside and you cannot physically distance yourself from others, well, then this mask has to go back on. As you can see, I'm still struggling with it. Reporting live on Mass Ave tonight, I'm Cameron Riddle, RTV6.
And if you live in Marion County and don't have a mask, you can get one for free. Just go to the website, nd.gov/masks. There you can register for a free face covering. You can also call the Mayor's Action Center at 317-327-4622. Again, that is 317-327-4622. And Mayor Joe Hogsett also announced that the temporary closures of Mass Ave, Broad Ripple Avenue, and Georgia Street to promote outdoor dining will be extended through Sunday, July 19th. The mayor says indoor areas of assisted living facilities and nursing homes in Marion County will remain closed to visitors. And any event with more than 1,000 people has to submit a public health plan and get approval from the Marion County Health Department.
Better late than never. That's what some families, advocates, and state lawmakers have to say about the state's sudden decision to publish COVID-19 deaths specific to each nursing home in Indiana. Call 6 Investigates' Kara Kenny has been questioning the governor's administration about this for months and joins us now with what some say needs to happen next.
We've been asking since mid-April where people have died in Indiana nursing homes and where they've gotten sick. The state has denied us every single time, citing privacy concerns and even telling us they don't have the information in a document. Well, now the Holcomb administration has changed its stance.
We are going to report facility-specific COVID-19 data.
This apparent change of heart is encouraging to people like David Johnson.
Well, I'm really happy the state's decided to reverse course.
His loved one died at an Indiana nursing home in April, and even though the facility chose to publish COVID-19 information on its website, David says it's data everyone should get to see.
It's transparency that not only the families appreciate, but the communities where these nursing centers exist, I think really do deserve that kind of data. Why the state took 4 months to now come to this, what seems like a reasonable decision is a little bit strange.
The state says earlier in the pandemic, they were focused on testing and infection control at nursing homes and credited groups like AARP for making the change.
We were just as surprised as everyone, but it was definitely welcomed information, information that we've been waiting for and have deserved for a long time.
The new dashboard will be released later this summer and will contain data for nursing home residents and employees, demographics of those who had COVID, and the number of recoveries. Advocates and lawmakers hope the data will show exactly when deaths and cases happened.
We can maybe learn from those facilities that have had a significant impact and what they're doing better now and what has helped. And so I hope that we can use this data to tell the story and learn from it.
I need to understand whether this is something that happened 90 days ago, it's been totally cleaned up, or whether it's ongoing. Yeah, the data has to be put together in a way that does not mislead or panic people, but does inform them.
The state says it plans to publish data that goes all the way back to March 1st when the pandemic began. Families and advocates say they'll be keeping close watch once it's posted. We requested a one-on-one interview with Governor Holcomb. We were told he's unavailable and that we can ask questions at the next news conference on Wednesday. Reporting at the State House, Kara Kenny, RTV6.
We reached out to the Indiana Healthcare Association, which represents nursing homes. They told us, quote, "We sincerely appreciate Governor Eric Holcomb's leadership and his administration's consistent efforts to engage our professionals throughout this pandemic and look forward to continued collaboration," end quote.
Well, my guess is you could feel the difference in the humidity level today. It's a little bit lower. Temperatures, they're at 91 in Bloomington, other spots in the upper 80s, including Indianapolis. The cumulus clouds that you see out your window, they're hanging out about 5,000 feet above your head. Now you see them. Tonight you won't. Skies will go clear. Just to double check, no showers or thunderstorms around now. We're likely to be dry. We will be dry through tomorrow, and just a small chance of any weekend thunderstorms. Temperatures, they'll work their way down to only 80 with a clear sky by the time we get to 10 o'clock. Tomorrow, here's the game plan. We'll end the work week with 90 to 93 degree high temperatures tomorrow. The humidity is still not too bad. We'll focus on warmer temperatures for the weekend and unveil the steaming hot 7-day forecast.
You're trained as a child, call 911 when you need help. I called 911, I got a recording.
An Indianapolis mother reaching out to RTV6 for answers, saying she was not able to get through right away when she called 911 after her son was shot. Megan Singh-Torum took her concerns to the top to figure out what happened and found out what you need to know to make sure your call is answered as soon as possible.
You have reached 911 emergency dispatch. Do not hang up.
That is what Tiffany Coker heard.
Stay on the line for the next available dispatcher.
Moments after her son had been shot on a Sunday afternoon.
I wait and I hold. I wait and I hold. I wait and I hold and I get the recording again. I'm like, no.
According to call logs, she waited on hold for 1 minute and 38 seconds before hanging up and calling again. That time, she hung up after waiting for 16 seconds. A dispatcher called her back right after that.
It was just unacceptable that my son is being shot. I'm calling 911. I'm getting a recording.
Leaders at the dispatch center agree.
That was a life or death emergency, and her call should have been answered a lot sooner. And it wasn't.
Major Michael Hubbs says in this case, there were several factors that led to the delay. When she called 911, calls were also coming in for a hit and run accident, a reckless driver, and an unconscious person. He says her wait time was well above Marion County's average, which is currently 11.4 seconds. He says situations like this don't happen often, but when they do, they stick with him.
Every day I go home at night and think about these type of calls that don't get through, and I want to apologize to her.
He says abuse of the 911 system also causes delays. He says about 60% of the calls they get are not emergencies, and they tie up valuable dispatcher time.
Unfortunately, I think they will continue to happen until we refine some areas of the 911 system in regard to how we use it, abuse.
He says long term, they'll need to look at increasing pay for dispatchers. And eventually, they'll need to upgrade and expand the dispatch center to a larger facility. Something this mom says should be done sooner than later.
The last thing we want to hear about is because the phone lines were busy or we couldn't get it through that a child or an elderly person passed away. Luckily, my son is okay, but what if he wasn't?
Working for you, Megan Sanctorum, RTV6.
And leaders at the dispatch center say education is key. They want to remind you to call the non-emergency line if possible. And they say if you do call 911 and get placed on hold, do not hang up. The dispatch center says your call remains in the queue and calling back just ties up the system. Calls are answered and returned in the order they are received.
So how often does this happen in Marion County? Call 6 Investigates. Stephanie Wade has been comparing 911 wait times from the past 2 years to find out why some people have had to wait longer than others.
911, what's the location of your emergency?
When you need help, seconds matter. And when people call 911, they expect to speak to a dispatcher quickly.
And your phone number, sir.
But in Tiffany Coker's case, she waited for 1 minute and 38 seconds before hanging up, then calling back a second time and waiting for 16 more seconds before waiting and hanging up again. A dispatcher eventually called her back. Call 6 Investigates requested the call log records from last year and this year, month by month, to see just how big of a problem this is, if at all. We found in 2019, the average wait time for someone to speak to a dispatcher was about 19 seconds. The Marion County Sheriff's Office tells Call 6 Investigates each year, June and July are always the two busiest months for the 911 center.
911 location.
During that time frame, Coker called on June 14th. There were multiple active incidents throughout Marion County that might have caused the long wait time, including a hit-and-run accident with injuries, a reckless driver, a disturbance, an unconscious person, and more. To compare this day to last year, the 911 center received 2,400 calls, as opposed to 2,003 calls in 2019.
Now, the Sheriff's Office says a few years ago, staffing was a big issue and why people were waiting so long to have their call answered. They believe the 911 center here in Marion County has seen so much turnover because dispatchers here are paid lower than surrounding counties. But they want to remind people, do not hang up. They answer those calls in the order they receive, and hanging up just delays them even further. Reporting downtown, I'm Call 6 Investigates, Stephanie Wade.
If you ever need help or want to expose a problem, email us at workingforyou@rtv6.com.
Today, the state says there has been an increase in the number of new COVID-19 cases and new deaths. The Indiana State Department of Health confirms 453 new COVID-19 cases. That's 82 more cases than was reported yesterday. So far, 46,387 Hoosiers have been diagnosed with the coronavirus. The Department of Health also reports 13 new deaths from the virus. That's up from 8 new deaths yesterday. 2,469 people in Indiana have died from COVID-19 since the pandemic began. More than 496,800 Hoosiers have been tested for the coronavirus. 9.3% of them tested positive for it. And the number of people in Indiana hospitals with COVID-19 did fall a bit to 644 yesterday. On Tuesday, there were 668 people in the hospital with the coronavirus. And on Monday, that number was 695.
Tonight, RTV6 and our partners at Radio 1 are hosting a virtual town hall called A Conversation on Race, Connecting Central Indiana. The hour-long program is a chance to have a necessary talk about race. The panelists will discuss where we are right now, how to move forward, and how to deal with interactions with law enforcement. You can watch The Conversation on Race tonight from 7 to 8 p.m. right here on RTV6. It will also be simulcast on 3 Radio 1 stations.
Question is, will the sky look like this throughout the 4th of July weekend? We've got the answer to that and the warmest day ahead as well.
3 races from 2 series with 0 fans inside. I'm Brad Brown, live at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We look ahead to this big weekend and hear from the defending champion of the IndyCar Grand Prix coming up in sports.
Ashley Home Store. This is home.
July and heat often go together. I'm sure you know that. They go together like peanut butter and jelly, macaroni and cheese. How's your memory? 2012. Look what happened that July. 28 out of 31 days, our temperature was at 90 or above. 7 of those days in the triple digits, and we hit 105 twice. Oh, so close. The warmest temperature ever in Indy, 1930s, was a 106-degree high. Okay, we're headed into the lower 90s. Maybe 93 on Sunday. Notice I've got 20% chance that we'll see a shower or thunderstorm in the afternoon hours in that 1 to about 6 time frame on Saturday mainly. Humidity, the squiggly line, works its way up into the very humid category on a more consistent basis as we get to early next week. Today we've had a little break, and it's been a noticeable break from the humidity. Rain chances consistently low. There's an 80% chance you're not going to see any rain throughout much of the 7-day forecast. The clouds are getting thinner. The flat bottom's there, and there's no rise in the clouds. They're not building vertically into any thunderstorms today. They'll fade away as we lose the heat. Terre Haute, Sullivan, Bloomington, all in the low 90s. 88 in Indy. We missed 90 by 1 degree today. Temperatures tomorrow, again with that northeast wind, will be in the low 90s, but the humidity will not surge. That probably doesn't happen until late weekend and early next week that we really get the tropical feel back. High temperatures for the end of the work week and the beginning of your 4th of July weekend, all well above average. This is on average the hottest time of the year in Indy. Saturday forecast breaks down like this. As we get to the afternoon hours, you'll begin to see a few more clouds build and that slight chance for thunderstorms. 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. all is good. And I'll show you 1 o'clock to about 4. You begin to see isolated showers, possibly a downpour develop. Most of us will stay dry. The peak temperature occurs Monday, 95 for the high. Chance of thunderstorms doesn't go up to 30% until we get to Wednesday of next week, but count them left to right, right to left. They're all in the 90s for highs and lows in the 70s.
It's a scorcher out there, Kevin. Thank you. And it will be a weekend, a hot weekend too, but a weekend unlike any other seen at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The biggest part being that hardly anyone will actually see it inside.
No fans in the stands, but there will be 3 races at the track. Brad Brown joins us live from IMS with a look ahead to all of it. Brad, I think a lot of people are just excited that we do have some racing in Indianapolis finally.
As much as anything, Mark and Amanda, when we came over here this afternoon, they were testing out the PA system here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And even outside, it was just nice to hear something coming out of things here at 16th and Georgetown. They'll rev up the engines for the IndyCar Series tomorrow, NASCAR's Xfinity Series as well, and then the Cup Series with the Brickyard 400 coming up here on Sunday. The hot weather Kevin was talking about will play a little more of a factor on the oval with the NASCAR guys on Saturday, but the IndyCar guys will certainly be keeping an eye on those hot temperatures here when they take the track for for practice on Friday. Let's take it back to last year for just a second. Remember race day for the IndyCar Grand Prix last year? Temperatures were in the upper 50s and it rained. By the time the thing was all done, it was Simon Pagenaud that had worked his way through the field, was clearly the class of the bunch, and ended up winning the IndyCar Grand Prix for the third time. Well, Pagenaud comes in here now as the defending champion of this race, and even though it's 8 weeks later than it was supposed to be, Pagenaud is ready to go back, and his eyes are only on one prize, and that's at the top of the victory podium.
You know, as a driver, when you go to a track where you've won before, or a track where you've had good success, you just have a level of confidence that's higher for sure. You know, I'm going into the Grand Prix with very high expectation of myself and my car and my team, and you know, I'm going there to win the race. I'm not going to be third. I'm not going in thinking I could be fifth or sixth or seventh. The goal is to win. And quite frankly, you know, that's the only thought I have. But there are a lot of things that's going to happen, a lot of things out of my control. All I can do is the best I can.
IndyCar will be the first of 3 races here Saturday and Sunday. They'll take the green flag for the Grand Prix just after noon. The Xfinity Series goes on the road course after that. And a 4 o'clock start time on Sunday for the Big Machine Hand Sanitizer 400 at the Brickyard as the Cup Series returns to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Of course, a ton of buzz about both of these series being here. Jimmy Johnson will actually be having a little crossover of his own coming up next Wednesday. He'll be testing with Chip Ganassi Racing on the road course. Perhaps another NASCAR guy that could be here in the month of May come 2021. We shall see. Speaking of the Cup Series, being here on the 4th of July weekend, of course, they raced at Daytona with the Firecracker 400 for the longest of decades. Well, they'll be here this weekend. Many of those cars going with some special Stars and Stripes paint schemes. And we look forward to seeing those guys only for the race. No practice, no qualifying. They'll line them up and go on Sunday here at the Speedway. Time for us to take another break. We'll be back to wrap up the news at 6 next.
Big money at Menards.
As you look at the temperature forecast tomorrow through the 4th of July weekend, very warm, mainly dry. Keep in mind, long-range forecasts keep it hot through the middle of July. So this is something that's settling in for a while, not just here and gone. Amanda?
Thank you for making RTV6 your choice for news. We'll leave you with this look outside of the West View from downtown Indianapolis. Join us again, or join us for the news at 7.